right, welcome to How Healing Works, and this is the special possibility to let acceptance be the main subject, you could say, this acceptance of healing. And you can say, why is that so important? Well, that's where it's all about. It's about the acceptance of healing and the acceptance of truth. Basically, coming to know who you are, that's one thing. Now, you've heard this 100 times, but to specifically have it directed to acceptance, which is the same as denial, is interesting, because not everyone will teach it like that, but it's great if you do, because it makes it simple for you to see what it is that you're doing and why you're doing that. Now, beforehand, I have to say this is not that this is a course in becoming critical at yourself, at how much in denial you are, of course. So this is this is an invitation to acceptance, by just seeing the futility of the denial. And there's a real possibility to do that. And as a continuation of what I shared a couple of hours ago, this is like the time has come to come into the directness of all of this. And like, it's not that you're going to have a healing experience and you will be healed in a couple of days or something. It's like, no. You ask for it. In that moment you are healed. That's instantaneous. Because in reality there's no difference. There's no there are no opposites. So the communication is there or is not there at all. And so it is with healing. So the communication is what healing is instantaneous. Now that's something we try to avoid, because I would know immediately what you are communicating to. For instance, if we stand in an elevator with the 12 of us, we try to avoid direct visual contact, for one thing, or physical contact, for sure. But in fact, if you could recognize what's occurring, it's like you feel each other's presence, undeniably. Now, if you accept that as, okay, we communicate. We're here in this cubicle, and we're here communicating. In fact, that can be very joyous. Even though you never met, you feel like you're connected. Now you see, so in the acceptance of it, it becomes communication. In the denial of it, it becomes something as an invasion, because an invasion of your privacy. If I would know what you are thinking, you might not be that happy with it. So you see, but communication must be whole to be real, is what the Course says. Like, communication must be whole to be real. Partial communication is nothing. So it doesn't work like that. Immediate communication is the only possibility. Now this refers back to oneness, of course. Like, if there's only one consciousness, it communicates with itself, with every aspect of itself. But there are no separate parts. So the communication is whole, is continuous. Every aspect of creation is included in it. That sounds really great. All right, so you see there are different ways in which we delay, in fact, the immediacy of communication. And to be aware of it is one thing, so you can release it, you can let it go. Now this is just a very short introduction to what you can expect today. I'm going to play a video now with probably 5 minutes or so from the talk of Master Teacher. There are some expressions specifically about denial. All right, so that was the introduction. Now, you might have questions about that. That's fine with me. You can ask them in a moment. So, what are we doing today? Well, here's the thing. You see that in this, what is being presented as an introduction to what Master Teacher shares, I use this very specifically because of the immediacy of everything of it. Like Jesus say, pick up your bed and walk. Like there's no delay. There's no, let's talk about this or let's try this and see what happens. No, it was that. Boom. And so that tells you something about how Jesus works. You can say, or you say, wow, he's a great miracle worker. He can do that. And I say, yeah, so can you, of course. Now, here's the thing that happens with you. In fact, when something is offered to you, here it says in this video too, when in fact the ultimate solution is offered to you, you say like, yeah, great. I would love to accept it one day. When I'm ready for it, I will accept it. Well, you had an opportunity to immediately accept it, in fact. Nothing held you back from doing that. You just had to say, like, I want it. I want that. And it would be yours. Now, here you see what the human mind, you could say, does is like delays one of the important parts. Looking for a solution, but not wanting to find one, is also one. So you see there's all kinds of chantage schemes within the human thinking that prevent you from actually coming in touch with the total solution that is within you. That's why you say like, well, the healings are not working, or this is not working, that is not working, I asked for it but it didn't happen, and all this. And that has to do with that. Delay is an important one because literally you think that something is given to you and it's going to take a while before it comes to you as a result. Like, okay, here's a healing. Here's the miracle. I present to you a miracle right now. And you say, well, okay, well, we'll see if that comes to me one day or whenever I can experience that. It would be great. So it's like you think that there's a difference between cause and effect, because your thinking is based on it. And that comes back into every little detail. Continuously you think something needs to happen first before there's a result. Something needs to be started before, like, this is how time works. Well, all the pain is in that, waiting and not seeing any changes. If you would say, if you could accept the ultimate solution for yourself immediately, then you wouldn't have time for anything else. There would be no time for pain. So it's important to think about this. Like, this is not giving you ammunition to hurt yourself and to say like, well, I'm doing that totally wrong. Then there's no hope for me. I do it totally wrong. I don't know how to do this. Probably that's not for me. And of course that's not so. That is not what the offering is here. So in how healing works is in fact bringing you back to the acceptance of the ultimate lesson, in fact, of direct acceptance. The recognition of the immediacy of salvation, in the immediacy of healing. You ask for healing, that's immediately given. Because the universe is waiting for you to ask for that. You say, I'm lost. Great. That was what the universe was waiting for. Now you can be found. I don't know how to look at this. No, great, wonderful. Because now the universe can show you how things are. And this goes on and on and on. Like all the failures, all you giving into your incompetent way of dealing with everything is in fact great. It's wonderful. You shouldn't be able, like, you don't have to know how all this works. It is going to be given just by the asking. This is important. Or by you admitting, I don't know how to do this. Now here's an important part, and we saw this on Monday too with the practitioner class. It's like this takes away, in fact, that takes away the concern for you, like to look for a result. You don't have to look for a result. You can offer healing without having to be concerned about the result. One of the hesitations you could have to offer healing is that you think, well, I'm not sure if it's going to succeed or not. Like, no, you have nothing to do with the result. When healing is asked, somebody comes up to you and asks for healing. When you say yes, in fact, it is already accomplished. You don't have to do anything for that. And if you start to trust that, you see it at work. If you think there's some time that takes place before something can happen, or waiting for a result, you can wait for a very long time. It might not even happen. So this is what I mean. You get familiar with an idea of the immediacy, of the instantaneousness of healing, the instantaneousness of communication. So this is with asking questions. You ask a question, in fact you receive the answer immediately, because it's literally impossible for you to ask a question without knowing the answer. Cause and effect are not apart. So that makes it a lot easier for me too. That's a joke. Yeah. So this is great stuff to work with. That's why I love to set this up for us to become very familiar with the idea of immediacy. So you can say, like, if I accept healing for myself in this instant, if I go for that, then and stay with it, stay in the sense of stay being present. In fact, I don't have time for any considerations. I don't have time for the considerations that I would normally have about myself. Now, that's a total relief. As you know, because most of the time you spend thinking about yourself, about, oh my God, did I do that right? Oh, that's maybe not such a good idea. Well, I'm not sure what the consequences are of that. So in other words, part of the day you walk around with your concerns. Now, if you step into the practice of the immediacy, and the instantaneousness of everything, then there cannot be anything that you can be concerned about, because you see the ridiculousness of that. Ridiculous in the sense of, when would that be? That the future of yours that you are anticipating, when would that be? There is no such thing as that. So, and there's of course the same with the past. Like, what concern about the past would give you anything except a problem, a perpetuating problem, because it's literally unsolvable, because it's already over. The origin is in the past. The cause is in the past. The past is over, so it can never be solved. See, it almost looks like logic, what I'm sharing with you, and to a certain extent it is the logic of presence. So it's a healing tool without really being a healing tool. It's more like it is the only real moment there is. Now, if you stay in connection with that, then you see it at work, and there's no opposite to it, because it continuously worked like that. You always know what to say if there's something that needs to be said. There's always the fulfillment of the perfection in this instant. There's nothing that needs to happen for that. Except my ideas need to get out of the way. Sure, of course. I found a piece in Course in Miracles, and that's called The Immediacy of Salvation. And I'd like to share some expressions of that, because that goes into a specific part too of where is it that you're holding on to in terms of relationship, in terms of forgiveness in relationships, for instance. So this is an advanced class of healing. I'm saying it again. It's an advanced class of healing, because if you are already aware of the fact that you are the denial of healing, of your perfection, of your true identity, you know already that you identify with something that isn't real, then you're already 5 steps ahead. So that's why I call this like an advanced class, because you have to know these things already. You have to get familiar with it, because you see that the rest doesn't work. That's why I'm bringing this in. So the one remaining problem that you have is that you see an interval between the time when you forgive and will receive the benefits of trust. This but reflects the little you would keep between yourselves, that you might be a little separate, which of course doesn't exist because you're separate or you're not separate. You cannot be a little bit separate, but you try to say dose that. So the one remaining problem that you have is that you see an interval between the time when you forgive and will accept the benefits of trust. This but reflects the little you would keep between yourselves, that you might be a little separate. Time and space are one illusion, which takes different forms. If it has been projected beyond your mind, you think of it as time. The nearer it is brought to where it is, the more you think of it in terms of space. But still it's one illusion. I'll come back to that. There is a distance you would keep apart from one another. And this space you see as time, because you still believe you are external to each other. This makes trust impossible, simple as that. And you cannot believe that trust would settle every problem now. Wow. So there is a distance you would keep apart from one another. And this space you see as time because you still believe you are external to each other. This makes trust impossible. And you cannot believe that trust would settle every problem now. Thus do you think it safer to remain a little careful and a little watchful of interests perceived as separate. From this perception you cannot conceive of gaining what forgiveness offers now. The interval you think lies in between the giving and receiving of the gift seems to be one in which you sacrifice and suffer loss. So thus do you think it safer to remain a little careful and a little watchful of interests perceived as separate. From this perception you cannot conceive of gaining what forgiveness offers now. The interval you think lies in between the giving and receiving of the gift seems to be one in which you sacrifice and suffer loss. So the immediacy of salvation, chapter 26, I, in the text, it's also a section in the blue book. So from this perception you cannot conceive of gaining what forgiveness offers now. The interval you think lies in between the giving and receiving of the gift seems to be one in which you sacrifice and suffer loss. Yeah. Now see, great thing here. The solution is not to understand what I just shared. That is so universal in this healing that we're in this recognition that we're in. So it's like your intellect is not going to help you. If you had to dissect what these words mean that I'm sharing with you, yeah, if you would have dissected, it wouldn't be that either. Now, why am I saying this? I'm offering you a new way to experience this. But it's very hard to experience this if you want to keep a distance between you and me, or between you and your brother. Like, that makes it very difficult, because there is, of course, no space between, and this little safety that you include is the only thing that's in the way for a full-blown experience of communication with your brother. Now, what happens with a full communication moment with your brother? You recognize that you're one with him. You recognize that you love him completely. You recognize your gratitude for God that you 2 or 3 are brought together, 5, 10 are brought together in this instant to experience this. Literally to have the possibility of the miracle to come to you in this instant. So that's why I'm saying intellectually working this out in your mind is not going to do it. So this is a matter of surrendering into it if you want, knowing, and this is why we come together, it's like knowing that such thing exists as the immediacy or the instantaneousnness of experience. Literally, it's what the miracle is. So here's light and love that we share. That doesn't have to be any reservation. You can completely accept your brother. You can completely trust your brother. The gift of you giving that to your brother is immense. So when just one of the 2 of you are doing that, basically you both have the benefit of it, coming into a different experience of yourself. This is what the healing is, the healing experience of the holy instant, the dissolving of the special relationship, whatever words you want to use, that's fine with me. But the authenticity of the experience is everything. So when you have that as a reference, then everything starts to make much more sense. And that's why I'm looking for ways to express this. I don't know how to do this either. Like, it's a spontaneous occurrence at the same time. So there's no will connected to it, except a desire that you want to connect with your brother, that you're willing to give up your ideas or your reservations for just a moment, just to be in light and love, to experience the immediacy of the connection, of forgiveness, of wholeness. Well, the ones that have experience with this, then it's easier. So it's like you're in good company. You have every opportunity that this will work today. I'm going to practice that. That would be lovely. What is being offered does not necessarily have a practical application in your life. What is being offered takes you out of it. Takes you out of your construct. You say like, I really don't like these patterns that I find myself in. Well, they're inherent in thinking, in timeful idea, in timeful manner. It's embedded in it. You can't just skip it out of it. So that's why I said in the beginning too, is like this is you either do this totally or you keep wavering back into time, into ideas about things instead of the direct experience of this all. So that is what is very clear here. See, if I still have ideas about who is in front of me, then I'm already lost, because that will block my sight. And because what I see has nothing to do with the one that's in front of me, even though I might have great ideas about it, and I really think them very true. So this is important. Let me get to the bottom of this. I try to express this here, because the denial is in you verifying it in your own ideas about yourself. In other words, trying to implement it into a time-space rationale and a time-space way. And that's exactly where it does not belong. So here's an incredible healing opportunity, because if you stop implementing it into your time-related ideas, like your ideas about relationships, your ideas about who God is, your ideas about who your brother is, and your ideas about how the different spiritual paths are, and so forth. You have used everything, every aspect of your selfness, of your self-identity, as you know yourself, you have used every aspect of it to prolong this idea. In other words, to confirm this idea. That is the disease. The disease is literally self-identification. So whatever so-called remedy is given, whatever you do with it, don't implement it into your logic, because then it's lost. And then it loses its power, because it's literally dissolving into cause and effect relationships. Now this is really important, because we come to that at some point, I don't know today, but at some point we come to that and use it very actively in healing, by not relating anything that you think you go through to time and space, in order for a recycle to occur. So you allow it to be new, you allow it to be embedded in your holiness instead of into your timeness. So that's going to be like a huge shift in your experience of yourself. But the tendency to use everything for your own confirmation of selfness is really what the addiction is what the mortaholicism is. You want to be confirmed in your process. It's not working out. I'm struggling. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I have no idea. You make your whole list to confirm that you're incompetent, because you want that to be. Because, you're a victim of your own ideas about yourself. So that's not so easy to face, but we'll certainly have like 7 more opportunities in how healing works to do so. Now, obviously, in order to come to the direct expression or to direct communication with each other, what is important is the release of this self-identity, because that's the only thing that's really in the way of directly communicating. Why is that? The self-identity has ideas about itself, and all of them stand in the way. Like, you don't need ideas to be in a direct experience of totality. Why would you have any ideas about it if it's all? That makes sense, right? So we practice this, but it can have incredible consequences just because of the nature of it. It's total, it's omnipresent, it is the direct experience of everything. And since you are that, if you drop your ideas about yourself, you recognize that you are that there's no opposite to it, that there's nothing to develop, but it's realized, and it did happen. I have to give you final instruction on how healing works. And that is how I could look at you and present myself to you, and you could immediately be well. We are opening spiritual healing centers, and there isn't any possibility that this world is going to recognize a spiritual healing center. It's just not possible. It seems to you in your mind, but it's not. So here it is. The dilemma of Jesus in the performance of miracles is going to be exactly and precisely the same dilemma that you are experiencing in the realization of the mind's capacity to heal, because it's not acceptable. So the ultimate solution to the problem is not acceptable, because it would take away the necessity for this world. So the dilemma of Jesus in the performance of miracles is going to be exactly and precisely the same that you are experiencing in the realization of the mind's capacity to heal. It's not acceptable. So here Master Teacher shares about the miracle. The miracle, is actually not justifiable in time and space. Like, there's no reason for it. It actually is impossible that it happens. That's why you can think like it doesn't exist or was just a lucky shot or something. Like, no. The miracle, you will not be able to justify the miracle. Why is that so important? Well, see, normally everything that you do in your dream is justifiable. I went to bed late. I really had trouble getting up. You say like, yeah, I understand. Me too. So it's justified. Now here I say, a miracle happened. My God. Like, I cannot say anything about it, but there was truly a miracle that happened to me. And then you have like, yeah, but there's no justification for it. Like, you cannot even prove it. And so what worth can it possibly have if it isn't reproducible? Like, with a scientific mind, you would at least think it is reproducible. And there's no such thing for a spontaneous occurrence. So, yeah, I said this before, but it is like the scientific way of thinking is in direct opposite of miraculous, miracle-minded thinking. So that's why you discover laws, but these laws don't have any meaning. You work with them and you think you know something. But anyway, so to set yourself free from it, coming free out of these laws, makes it totally, makes the miracle totally available for you, because it is available for you. Your daily dedication should be devoted to that. Performing miracles. Performing that in which you temporarily leave time and space to come into a direct experience of your communication with your Creator, with your brother. Recognizing that you're the dreamer of this dream, that nobody's dreaming this, that this is happening to you, and that you just were set free out of it because you experienced something else. That brings me back to my first spiritual healing experience I had. That was quite extreme in the sense of having a full-blown experience of the absolute timelessness, but the perfect timing of everything, like the synchronicity of everything. And having seen that, overwhelmed by it, I could not justify to anyone why this was happening and what the effect of that would be. So when I started to cave in on it, in terms of try to behave like a human being again, it was sacrificing this secret that I had discovered for myself, with the response of a deep depression. It's like, I have no idea how to get out of this. I experienced the totality of this universe. Now I have to try to apply it here, and there's no way, there's no place I can literally put it. Yeah, so what am I doing here? Well, so this is interesting, because this is what you will see. So the miracle has no justification. That what is occurring to you, you cannot use in the world in a certain sense. You can't use it, not for your credibility. It's not like, okay, I probably have 1,500 holy instances, now I get a top job somewhere. They're like, no, there's no credentials related to it. What am I doing? I just had this experience. Yeah, so that's wonderful that you realize that you're a whole part of the universe, but we're looking for a CFO for this company. So why would you be the best one for that if you have different experiences than anyone else? Like it is not applicable to this world. Even though the happiness might be attractive, or the recognition that you can feel, or the light that you can feel can be attractive, it doesn't mean that it has any application here. I literally found that it has no application here. Luckily not. So, except of course in when I meet you and we come into a total trust situation where something else can occur, and suddenly we find each other in a moment of light and recognition that reminds us of home, and then it makes total sense. Only then. But then still, where's the world? It was just gone, because that is the experience. Entering into the fourth dimension is not taking the whole world with you and trying to save it or something. No. So this is an interesting subject that we're heading into, because acceptance is where this is all about. So any insights that can help you to come to a direct acceptance of what is given is wonderful. And that will be miraculous, not by your understanding the matter, not by you trying to figure it out, not by you discussing it, but more like, here it is. There's nothing else left. There's nothing else left to do. And here we are. So speaking from that direct experience, thank you for being present here today. And I'll play some music just to relax a little bit more together. Who knows? Can spontaneously happen that you get happy for no reason. And I hope to see you in the next episode of How Healing Works. If you didn't receive the PDF with the book, let me know and I'll send it to you. Thank you for everything, and bye for now.